The Dulles family. I knew nothing about them, to my great shame, except for the airport. There's a Dulles airport?
That was named after the oldest brother, John Foster Dulles. He was Secretary of State, and his younger brother was head of CIA. And they were the originators of brinksmanship in the Cold War. Their sister, Eleanor, was the black sheep of the family. In the 1930s, she married a Jewish guy. And her husband committed suicide under very mysterious circumstances. And then Eleanor discovered that her brothers were the lawyers for Hitler's bankers. Her brothers were arranging money, the movement of money from the United States and Great Britain into Germany to fund the rise of Hitler. Eleanor ended up getting the blackmail information to get the extra votes in the United Nations to create the State of Israel. It's a true story, never been told before.
It's amazing. I really liked Eleanor. The two brothers...
Not so much.
Not so much. And I bounced back and forth with the two brothers.
Yeah. Eleanor liked John Foster Dulles, hated Alan. That's a little harsh, she didn't hate him, but she was very disappointed in him.
But there were times when Foster just seemed like just interested in money.
He did not want to break off ties with having the Sullivan and Cromwell law offices in Nazi Germany. He wanted to stay open. And everybody else in his firm was saying, no, we're going to walk out. We have to shut them down.
Even during the war. I mean, bad enough in the 30s.
He stayed on the board of IG5 and after war was declared. But then so did Prescott Bush. He stayed on the board of the Union Banking Corporation.
Prescott Bush being?
The grandfather of the current president. Was a very bad man. Actually, his father-in-law gave him the job, Herbert Walker. As in George Herbert Walker Bush, is that? Well, the grandfather, Prescott, was the head of this bank. And it was one of three banks that were set up to, so no matter which side won World War II, the banks would survive, and all their corporate stock could be reclaimed. Oh, look, we were victims of Nazism. So there's one in Holland, one in Berlin, and one in New York. But Prescott Bush ran the one in New York. So is it fair to say that the Bush family made money off the war? Yeah. Yeah, they did.
Well, from both sides.
Both sides.
Now, why choose to do it as fiction? Why not just do it as nonfiction, or call it creative nonfiction and slap that? That's getting to be a popular...
Yeah. Creative nonfiction bothers me. It's either history or it's not. Okay. My concern was that there's a whole new generation of kids growing up that weren't even born during World War II, have no knowledge or understanding of the Holocaust, and a little less about what the 30s and 40s were like, the run up to the war. And I thought this would be an easy way, not to spoon-feed history, but to give them a good, murder mystery, love story, detective story. And Brendan, I just think, is just a brilliant author. He just came up with this whole Shakespearean arc to the book. It's a fun read.
How do you want to start? Which of the three would you like to start with, Eleanor, Foster, or Alan?
Alan. Alan, was amoral. He was all for Alan. And he was the consummate beltway bureaucrat, someone who could manipulate, who could spin. No thought to long-term consequences.
Boy, why is that sounding familiar?
Yeah. John Foster Dulles was the walking human calculator, just adding up facts and get to the bottom line. But there was no emotion to him, no heart, except I think to Eleanor. And Eleanor, I think, was probably the most brilliant of the three of them. She was the author of many books on economics. She literally devised the post-war currency system in Europe after World War II. She ran Austria, headed up the Berlin desk of the State Department, a multi-talented woman. Literally put together the Social Security Administration under Roosevelt before the war started. Many talents, but in those days, women's talents weren't recognized. And Eleanor was, shall we say, not the most attractive woman in the world, and was prey to being seduced, and ended up taking a lover, who was a composite character in the book, and the lover was the one who told her that her late husband had been spying for the Zionists, and would she take his place in essence. So it was an interesting kind of twist. But Eleanor became someone who, I guess in order to save the family from dishonor, had to make sure that the whole story lay buried forever. And so she did what she had to do. These were men, the Dulles family, that financed Hitler's rise to power, sabotaged to a certain extent American intelligence, were on both sides of the war, and then covered it all up. And they got away with it. We named an airport after him. That's when I know when I really won, when they take the Dulles name off that airport. I think he doesn't deserve it.
The book is The Witness Tree. It's a novel. It's also history.
There's more truth in this novel than in most history books.
I've been speaking with the author, John Loftus, the other author, Brendan Howley, and The Witness Tree is published by Random House of Canada.